Lily's life was like a faded photograph, all grays and browns. She lived in a tiny shack with her mom and dad. There wasn't much food, and her clothes were always too big or too small, hand-me-downs that never quite fit. Her parents weren't mean all the time, but they were often tired and grumpy. Lily tried to stay out of their way. Most days, Lily helped with chores. She fetched water from the well, which was heavy and made her arms ache. She swept the dirt floor, trying to keep the dust down. She wished she could go to school like the other children, but her parents said they needed her to work. Sometimes, Lily would sit by the window and watch the other kids playing. She imagined herself laughing and running with them, but she knew it was just a dream. Her reality was the shack, the chores, and the gnawing feeling in her tummy that never seemed to go away. Life felt very unfair. One day, Lily overheard her parents talking in hushed tones. Their voices were laced with worry. "We don't have any choice," her mother said, her voice cracking. "We can't feed ourselves, let alone her." Lily's father sighed. "It's the only way. The auction is next week." Lily didn't understand what they were talking about, but the word auction sounded scary. She crept closer to the door, trying to hear more. "They say farmers need strong girls to help with the harvest," her mother continued. "Maybe someone will take her in and give her a better life." Lily's heart pounded. A better life? But what about her? The thought of leaving the only home she'd ever known, even if it was a poor one, filled her with dread. The auction. It sounded like she was being sold like an old chair. The word auction echoed in Lily's mind, a dark and scary sound. She didn't know what it meant, not really, but she could feel the weight of it in her chest. Felt like a heavy stone, pulling her down. She tried to ask her mother about it, but her mother just sighed and told her to go outside and play. Play? How could she play when her world was turning upside down? Lily wandered into the small patch of dirt they called a yard. She picked up a handful of pebbles and threw them one by one, imagining each one was a worry. But the worries kept coming, faster and faster, until she couldn't throw the pebbles quickly enough. She hugged herself tight, trying to ward off the fear that was creeping into her bones. The auction. It sounded like she was being given away, like she didn't belong to herself anymore. And that thought was the scariest of all. Meanwhile, in a small, slightly run-down cottage on the edge of town, lived Mr. Thompson. He was a widower, his heart heavy with the loss of his wife. He had 2 young children, a boy named Billy and a girl named Susie, who needed him more than ever. Mr. Thompson worked hard as a carpenter, but money was tight. He struggled to keep food on the table and clothes on their backs. He needed help, someone to look after the children while he worked, someone to help with the endless chores. He'd heard about the auction. It made him uneasy, the idea of buying a child. But he was desperate. He wasn't looking for a servant, but a helper, someone to become part of their little family. He hoped, with all his heart, that he could find someone kind and gentle, someone like his wife used to be. He knew he didn't have much money, but he would try his best. The day of the auction arrived, gray and overcast like Lily's mood. She stood on a makeshift stage in the town square, her heart pounding in her chest. People she didn't know stared at her, their eyes cold and assessing. A man with a booming voice started the bidding. "Here we have Lily, a strong and healthy girl. Who'll give me $5? Hands shot up. 5, 6, 7. Lily felt like a piece of property, something to be bought and sold. The people weren't looking at her, at the scared little girl inside. They were looking at her hands, her back, her potential for work. She saw farmers with calloused hands and stern faces. She saw shopkeepers with greedy eyes. None of them looked like they wanted a daughter. They just wanted a worker. The scene was awful. She wanted to disappear. Mr. Thompson stood at the back of the crowd, his heart aching as he watched Lily. He saw the fear in her eyes, the way she clutched her thin dress. He barely had enough money to feed his own children, let alone bid on another. But he couldn't bear to see her sold to someone who would only exploit her. He clenched his fists, his mind racing. He knew the risks. He might not be able to provide for her properly. People might judge him for taking in another mouth to feed. But then he looked at Lily again, her small frame trembling on the stage. He remembered his own children, their innocent faces, and knew he had to do something. He had to try. He might not be able to offer her riches, but he could offer her kindness, a safe home and a family. That had to be worth something. The bidding was climbing higher and higher. $10, the auctioneer shouted. Do I hear 11? Mr. Thompson swallowed hard. He reached into his pocket, counting the few coins he had. It wasn't much, but it was all he could offer. He raised his hand, his voice barely a whisper. $10.50. A few people chuckled, but the auctioneer recognized his bid. $10.50. Do I hear 11? Going once, going twice. The other bidders hesitated. They were looking for strong workers, not charity cases. Mr. Thompson's offer was so low, it almost seemed like a joke. But it was his only chance. He held his breath, hoping against hope that no one would outbid him. He looked at Lily, pleading with his eyes. The auctioneer banged his gavel. Sold. To Mr. Thompson for $10.50. Lily's heart leaped into her throat. Mr. Thompson? She didn't know him. She scanned the crowd, trying to find the face that belonged to the name. She saw him standing at the back, a kind-looking man with gentle eyes. Relief washed over her, but it was quickly replaced by fear. What would he be like? Would he be mean? Would he make her work all day long? She stepped down from the stage, her legs trembling. Mr. Thompson approached her, his face etched with concern. Hello, Lily, he said softly. My name is Thomas Thompson. You can call me Mr. Thompson, if you like. He offered her a small, hesitant smile. Lily didn't smile back. She was too scared. But deep down, a tiny spark of hope flickered within her. Maybe, just maybe, this wouldn't be so bad after all. Mr. Thompson led Lily to his old, beat-up car. The seats were worn, and the springs squeaked with every bump. The ride was silent and awkward. Lily stared out the window, watching the familiar landscape fade away. Mr. Thompson tried to break the ice. It's not too far to my house, he said gently. I have 2 children, Billy and Susie. They're excited to meet you. Lily didn't respond. She didn't know what to say. She was leaving everything she knew behind, heading into the unknown. Mr. Thompson sighed. I know this is scary, Lily, he said, his voice full of sincerity. But I promise I'll do my best to take care of you. You'll have a warm bed, plenty of food, and we'll be a family. Lily glanced at him, a flicker of hope in her eyes. A family? Could she really have a family? It seemed too good to be true. When they arrived at the small cottage, 2 children peeked out from behind the curtains. Billy, the older one, was about 8 and Susie was around 6. They looked curious but also a little apprehensive. Mr. Thompson smiled. Billy, Susie, this is Lily. She's going to be staying with us for a while. Billy and Susie slowly came outside. They stared at Lily, taking in her worn clothes and shy demeanor. Hi, Billy mumbled, kicking at a loose stone. Susie just hid behind Billy's leg, peeking out with wide eyes. Lily felt awkward. She didn't know what to say or do. She'd never been good with other kids. She knew they were probably wondering who she was and why she was here. She hoped they would like her, but she could tell they were unsure. She was unsure too. That night, Lily lay in a real bed for the first time she could remember. It wasn't fancy, just a simple cot in the corner of Billy and Susie's room. But it was soft and clean. She snuggled under the covers, feeling safe and warm. Earlier, Mr. Thompson had given her a bowl of stew. It was the best thing she had tasted in ages, full of vegetables and tender meat. She ate every last bite, her tummy finally feeling full and content. As she lay in bed, she listened to Billy and Susie breathing softly in their sleep. She wondered if they were dreaming. She closed her eyes and tried to imagine good dreams, dreams of laughter and friendship and belonging. A tear slipped down her cheek. She was still scared, but she was also grateful. Maybe, just maybe, this new life would be better than the old one. The warm bed and the full tummy were a good start. The next morning, Lily woke up early, eager to help. She wasn't sure what Mr. Thompson expected of her, but she wanted to prove that she was worth the $10.50 he had paid for her. She started by sweeping the floor, humming softly to herself. Then, she helped Susie set the table for breakfast. Mr. Thompson smiled at her. "You don't have to do all that, Lily," he said kindly. "But I appreciate it." As the days passed, Lily gradually took on more chores. She helped with the laundry, weeded the garden, and even started learning to cook. She found that she enjoyed helping out. It made her feel useful and part of the family. Slowly, she was starting to feel like she belonged. She began to think of the cottage as home. One afternoon, while Mr. Thompson was at work, Billy and Susie were bored. Lily, feeling a bit braver, suggested they play a game of tag in the yard. At first, Billy and Susie hesitated, but Lily's enthusiasm was contagious. Soon, they were running and laughing, chasing each other around the trees. Lily forgot all about her worries and just enjoyed the moment. She hadn't played in so long, it felt wonderful. As the days went by, Lily, Billy, and Susie became the best of friends. They told each other stories, shared secrets, and helped each other with their chores. They were like siblings, teasing each other, comforting each other, and always having each other's backs. Lily finally had the family she had always dreamed of. She felt loved and accepted for who she was. Mr. Thompson treated Lily with a kindness she had never known before. He never raised his voice, never demanded anything of her. He always spoke to her with respect, as if she were his own daughter. He saw that Lily was eager to learn, so he started teaching her to read and write. He showed her how to use tools in his workshop and how to identify different plants in the garden. He even taught her how to play chess. Lily soaked up all the knowledge like a sponge. She loved learning new things and felt proud of her accomplishments. Mr. Thompson's kindness made her feel safe and valued. She realized that he hadn't bought her to be a servant, but to be a part of his family. He truly cared about her well-being. Lily began to blossom like a flower in springtime. The sadness that had clouded her eyes started to fade, replaced by a sparkle of happiness. She stood a little taller, smiled a little wider, and laughed a little louder. She gained confidence with every new skill she learned, every kind word she received. She started to believe in herself, something she had never done before. Her clothes, though still simple, were now clean and well-fitting. Her hair, once dull and tangled, was now shiny and neatly braided. She was no longer the neglected, forgotten girl from the shack. She was Lily Thompson, a valued member of a loving family. She finally felt beautiful both inside and out. She was becoming the person she was always meant to be. Even though Lily was happier than she had ever been, the hard memories of her past still haunted her. Sometimes, she would wake up in the middle of the night, screaming from a nightmare. She would see the faces of the people at the auction, hear her parents' voices arguing, and feel the gnawing hunger in her stomach. But now, things were different. When she woke up screaming, Mr. Thompson would rush into the room and hold her close. Billy and Susie would climb into bed with her, offering hugs and whispered words of comfort. "It's just a dream, Lily," Mr. Thompson would say softly. "You're safe now. We're here for you." And Lily would cling to them, feeling their love and support washing over her. The nightmares didn't disappear completely, but they lost their power. She knew she wasn't alone anymore. She had a family who loved her, and that made all the difference. One sunny morning, Mr. Thompson announced, "Lily, I'm going to enroll you in school." Lily's eyes widened. School? She had always dreamed of going to school, but she never thought it would actually happen. "Really?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes, really," Mr. Thompson said, smiling. "It's time you got a proper education." Lily was overjoyed. She couldn't wait to learn new things, make new friends, and experience the world beyond the cottage. She knew it wouldn't be easy. She was behind the other children, but she was determined to catch up. This was her chance to make something of herself, to fulfill her potential. She was so grateful to Mr. Thompson for giving her this opportunity. It was a dream come true. School was harder than Lily expected. She struggled to keep up with the other students, who had been learning for years. Reading and writing felt like climbing a mountain, and math was a confusing maze. She felt discouraged and wanted to give up, but Mr. Thompson wouldn't let her. Every evening, after dinner, he would sit with her and help her with her homework. Billy and Susie would also pitch in, quizzing her on her spelling words and explaining difficult concepts. "You can do it, Lily," Mr. Thompson would say, his voice full of encouragement. "Just keep trying." With their help and support, Lily slowly began to improve. She still had a long way to go, but she was making progress. She realized that learning wasn't just about books and lessons. It was about perseverance, determination, and having people who believed in you. The school was putting on a play, and Lily, to her surprise, was offered a small part. She was only a villager with just one line, but it was still a chance to shine. At first, she was terrified. Standing on a stage in front of everyone, it was a daunting thought, but Mr. Thompson, Billy, and Susie encouraged her. They helped her memorize her line and practiced with her every day. On the night of the play, Lily's heart pounded in her chest. But as she stepped onto the stage and said her line, a surge of confidence coursed through her veins. The audience applauded, and Lily beamed. It was a small role, but it was her role, and she had done it well. After the play, Mr. Thompson hugged her tightly. "I'm so proud of you, Lily," he said. "You were wonderful." Lily's heart swelled with happiness. She had faced her fear and succeeded. It was a moment she would never forget. Not everyone was happy for Lily. Some of the other children, especially those from wealthier families, were jealous of her new life. They whispered behind her back, calling her auction girl and making fun of her clothes. "Look at Lily all dressed up in hand-me-downs," one girl sneered, "trying to be something she's not." Lily tried to ignore them, but their words stung. She knew she wasn't like them. She hadn't grown up with nice things or fancy clothes. She was just a poor girl who had been given a second chance. Sometimes the teasing got so bad that Lily would cry. She wondered if she really belonged with the Thompsons. Maybe she was just a burden, a charity case. The cruel words made her doubt herself and question her place in her new family. The jealousy of others was a painful reminder of her past. One day, Mr. Thompson overheard some of the children teasing Lily. He was furious. He marched right over to them and said in a firm voice, "Leave Lily alone. She is a kind and wonderful girl, and she is part of our family. If I ever hear you saying mean things to her again, you will have to answer to me." The children, taken aback by Mr. Thompson's anger, mumbled apologies and scurried away. Mr. Thompson then turned to Lily, his face softening. "Don't let them get to you, Lily," he said gently. "They're just jealous because you're special. You are loved and protected here. Never forget that." Lily's heart swelled with gratitude. Mr. Thompson's words were like a shield, protecting her from the cruelty of the world. She knew, without a doubt, that she belonged with him and his children. She was safe, she was loved, and she was home. One afternoon, the postman delivered a letter addressed to Lily. It was from her biological parents. Lily's hands trembled as she opened it. The letter was short and to the point. They had heard she was doing well and that she was strong enough to work. They wanted her to come home so she could help support the family. Now that she could earn money, they needed her back. Lily's heart sank. All the old fears and insecurities came rushing back. Was she just a worker to them? Had they ever really cared about her? She looked at Mr. Thompson, Billy, and Susie, her heart aching. She didn't want to leave them. They were her family, her real family. The letter from her past threatened to shatter her newfound happiness. She didn't know what to do. Lily spent a sleepless night wrestling with her decision. The thought of going back to her old life filled her with dread. She couldn't imagine leaving Mr. Thompson, Billy, and Susie. They were her family, the only family she had ever truly known. In the morning, she told Mr. Thompson about the letter. He listened patiently, his eyes full of understanding. "It's your decision, Lily," he said gently. "We'll support you no matter what you choose." Lily looked at him, at Billy and Susie, their faces filled with love and concern. She knew what she had to do. "I'm staying," she said firmly. "This is my home. You are my family." Relief washed over Mr. Thompson's face. Billy and Susie cheered and hugged her tight. Lily knew she had made the right decision. Her future was with the Thompsons, the people who loved her for who she was, not for what she could do. Mr. Thompson knew he had to talk to Lily's biological parents. He couldn't let them keep disrupting her life. He drove Lily to their shack, his heart heavy with concern. He knocked on the door, and Lily's parents answered, their faces etched with a mixture of hope and greed. Mr. Thompson spoke calmly and respectfully. "I understand you want Lily back," he said, "but she is happy with us. She's going to school, she's making friends, and she's part of our family." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "She doesn't want to leave. She considers us her real family now." He saw a flicker of disappointment in their eyes, but he stood his ground. He was protecting Lily, just as he had promised. He knew he was doing the right thing. As Mr. Thompson spoke, Lily's parents' expressions began to change. The greed in their eyes faded, replaced by a flicker of understanding and then, finally, regret. They looked at Lily, standing beside Mr. Thompson, and saw how happy and healthy she was. "We made a mistake," her mother said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We were desperate, but that's no excuse." Her father nodded, shamefaced. "You're right, Mr. Thompson. She's better off with you. We can see that." They realized that they had prioritized their own survival over their daughter's well-being. They had traded her happiness for a few dollars, and now they were paying the price. The guilt washed over them, a heavy burden they would carry for the rest of their lives. They knew they didn't deserve Lily's forgiveness. A few months later, Mr. Thompson surprised Lily with some wonderful news. "Lily," he said, "I've started the process of adopting you." Lily's eyes filled with tears of joy. "Really?" she whispered. "You want me to be your daughter?" Mr. Thompson smiled and pulled her into a hug. "Of course I do. You're already part of our family. This just makes it official." After many weeks of paperwork and waiting, the adoption was finalized. Lily Thompson was officially a Thompson, a permanent member of their loving family. It was a new beginning, a chance to put the past behind her and embrace a future filled with love, hope, and belonging. She was finally home, for good. That evening, after the adoption papers were signed, Lily gathered Mr. Thompson, Billy, and Susie together. She looked at them, her heart overflowing with love. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You saved me. You gave me a home, a family, and a future. I will never forget what you've done for me." She hugged Mr. Thompson tightly. "You're the best father a girl could ask for," she whispered. Then she turned to Billy and Susie. "And you're the best siblings. I love you all so much." Billy and Susie hugged her back, their faces beaming with happiness. Mr. Thompson wiped a tear from his eye. "We love you too, Lily," he said. "You've brought so much joy into our lives." Lily's gratitude was immense, a feeling she knew she would carry with her always. The Thompsons continued to live happily together in their little cottage. They faced challenges, of course. Money was still tight, and life wasn't always easy. But they had each other, and that was all that mattered. They supported each other through thick and thin, celebrating each other's successes and comforting each other during difficult times. They were a team, a family, bound together by love and loyalty. Billy and Susie grew into fine young adults, always there for Lily and Mr. Thompson. Lily excelled in school, her determination and hard work paying off. She knew that no matter what life threw their way, they would face it together, as a family. Their bond was unbreakable. Their future was bright. As Lily grew older, she knew what she wanted to do with her life. She wanted to become a teacher, to help other children in need, just like Mr. Thompson had helped her. She remembered what it was like to feel lost, scared, and alone. She wanted to be there for children who were struggling, to offer them guidance, support, and a safe place to learn and grow. She dreamed of creating a classroom where every child felt valued, respected, and loved. She wanted to inspire them to believe in themselves and to reach for their full potential. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to make a difference in the world, one child at a time. Her past experiences fueled her desire to help others. Lily's story is a powerful reminder that love and kindness can transform a life, even in the darkest of circumstances. It shows how a single act of compassion can change the course of a person's destiny. Mr. Thompson's kindness gave Lily a second chance, a chance to escape poverty and neglect and to find love and belonging. It demonstrates that family isn't always about blood, but about the people who choose to love and support you unconditionally. Lily's journey teaches us that even when faced with hardship and adversity, it is possible to overcome and to create a better future. It highlights the importance of education, perseverance, and the unwavering support of a loving family. It is a story of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of the human heart. In the end, love conquers all.